Wrestling POV content may not be suitable to some audiences. Your discretion is advised. Wrestling POV content may not be suitable to some audiences. Your discretion is advised. Wrestling POV's content may not be suitable to modern audiences. Your discretion is advised. Wrestling POV's content may not be suitable to modern audiences. Your discretion is advised. Wrestling POV's content may not be suitable to some audiences. Your discretion is advised. Wrestling POV's content may not be suitable to some audiences. Your discretion
Hey fans, welcome to another edition of WPOV Global. I'm your host, the legend T. James Logan, and with me, the gentleman himself, Elio Canella. Elio, have you been being a gentleman this week?
Well, see, it's like this. After Sunday night.
Okay, you're gonna rub this in. Okay, go ahead. After Sunday night,
I packed up the Wrestling POV Championship, and I brought it back home with me to Toronto. Mm-hmm. And when my plane landed, I was mobbed by all these fans wanting autographs and pictures. And then I look up and I see my good friend TJ Logan with a scowl on his face and a pointing finger accusing me of cheating and being in collusion with Miguel Cole. Now, I could have yelled back. We could have gotten into a screaming match. However, being a gentleman that I am, I simply said, I'm quite sure you're mistaken about that, sir.
Folks, that last 60 seconds brought to you by the legendary imagination of the gentleman, Elio Canella. Elio, not very gentleman-like of you. How's your real week been? Besides rubbing in you and Miguel cheating.
My week's been pretty great.
Well, you know what? Our week went in wrestling watching up exponentially because New Japan threw a bunch of shows out there. It's been a busy week for us.
Wow, very busy week.
Well, you know what? Why don't we get into the rumblings first of all? Talk about what's going on around our indie world. Looking in right now, first of all, injuries. Only one injury to report this week of any note. Mark Haskins of ROH gone down with a partial tear in his calf. Painful.
Oh, okay.
That's going to put him out for a while. This British star has been looking pretty good. He was recently on ROH TV, so it's kind of sad to see this sort of timing.
Yeah, he was on the last night's episode. Yeah.
So we're going to go over that, but kind of bad timing, I guess. Some other things to look at. In MLW, Dago. Do you remember Dago? He is scheduled to return. Last time we saw him, I believe low-key was puncturing his ear during a match. He's been out now He's been out of MLW for a good six to 8 episodes, so he's back.
Okay.
And MLW is going to be bringing in Jimmy Havoc from England, well-known hardcore style wrestler. Moving over to ROH, PJ Black, your old friend Gabriel there.
Yes.
PJ Black signs with contract. He'll be now exclusively with ROH. And of course, ROH's biggest news of the week had to be Jay Lethal, reaching 646 days combined as the world champion. That puts him as the man who's held that belt the most in the history of ROH.
Wow. 600. What was that number again?
646 days.
646 days as ROH champion for Jay Lethal.
Yes, and that's a combined though, folks. That's not one straight run. That's a combined
that's
two or three runs,
right.
but that's still pretty incredible in this day and age.
Yep.
Now, some weird. We usually don't talk about Evolve, but there was a bit of a note I had to say. Is the WWE has loaned Ricochet from NXT UK, NXT Wrestling over to Evolve for a couple matches. So Ricochet will be making some indie appearances.
Oh, okay.
That'll be a very interesting.
I think I'd be so lost with that company because they have so many pay-per-views. I don't know what number they're up to now.
Yeah, it's and I wish we could get it more consistent. I mean, it's even something. If we had enough people who wanted us to try and cover it, we would. But it's kind of sporadic, the footage we managed to get or the chances we get to see Evolve.
That would be adding even more hours.
Yeah, I think there would be even more time added in.
Yeah.
Word out of the NWA. There's another place we don't take much news from, but the NWA is launching a digital series right now. titled One Nation, which will be focusing on the NWA national champion Willie Mack and his struggles and whatnot.
Okay.
So I'm actually interested. We've seen Willie Mack in Lucha Underground. We've seen him in MLW. We've seen him all over the place. So a part of me is a little bit interested in that.
Mm-hmm.
And the last bit of things I want to talk about in the rumblings is sort of rumors. And it's an interesting rumor because everywhere I've checked, nobody's 100% sure about this. But the rumor started with Chris Jericho claiming that the Lucha Brothers had signed exclusive contracts to AEW. However,
here we go.
Yeah. However, many promoters in that have still pointed out that this is not true, that they have matches coming up with these guys, that the Lucha Brothers are still telling everyone they are not signed exclusive contracts. I'm not sure what it is. Some people have said that it may come down to the fact that they have a handshake deal saying that they will wrestle for AEW, but it will not be exclusive. They will still do MLW and ROH and other places that we've seen them compete in, and Impact.
Now, see, if they wanna start promoting their company, I don't think spreading rumors like that would be a good way to start, though.
You know what? Over the last little while, we've seen some questionable posts by Chris Jericho in the last 2 weeks, and as much as he's a big name, I've got to think he's a bit of a detriment by not watching what he's saying. You know?
Yes.
I mean, he came out there, I believe, last week sometime. He tweeted out that, "Oh, WWE, don't worry. We only want maybe 6 or 8 of your guys." Yeah.
Wow.
It was taken down quickly. However, it got out there.
And because I also found a piece of news where apparently AEW offered some sort of a deal to a top name in a top WWE name.
Mm-hmm. And who was that?
But I don't recall who it was. I just glanced at the article real quick, but
well, I
don't even think it said. I don't know. But again, more rumors.
More rumors. If you want to talk about AEW rumors, you look at Dean Ambrose giving notice. This is real. He is leaving the WWE. He will not be under a 90-day no compete clause, which means he could show up at the first AEW event and it would be kosher.
So yeah, and apparently that's one of the rumors that was going around that maybe he may be signing her with AEW.
Well, I'm not sure if he'll sign, but he'll definitely compete. I think that's a given. There's also been the rumors, of course, of what are those guys called? Dash Wilder and Scott. The Revival. Rumors were that they had been seeking a release so that they could go to AEW. This is all rumors and conjecture, of course. We have no, but it was rumors that a lot of people have heard about. And of course, the other rumor is Hideo Itami. Apparently, he will be released in the next little while from the WWE. He has already started putting social media and turning things over back to Kenta. So where he's going to go? Will he end up back in New Japan? Will he end up in AEW? He had a terrible run in NXT, but I think he's a tremendous star, and I think he can do well. I think he was just presented wrong, and I think he'd be a hot commodity.
Speaking of New Japan, there were two more releases. I don't know if you heard about this one.
Oh, go ahead.
The Best Friends.
Oh, Beretta and Chucky T. I did not hear they were released. Yeah,
apparently I was reading it last week. Apparently they're the newest ones who asked for the release from to leave NJPW.
Wow. You scooped me on some NJPW news. Good on you, Elio. I'm going to have to look that up. You know what? The Best Friends are a very strange act for the Japanese audience. I don't think they ever really gelled in the NJPW, but very surprised about Beretta because just before his injury, he was being pushed into the heavyweight division, and there were good chances that they were trying to make a big run with him. Then he got hurt.
You know who I caught up with? I caught up with his tag team partner in the Dude Busters, Kalen Croft.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Well, I spoke to him for a while.
Yeah, excellent.
Yeah, he's got his own podcast now, and he's doing his own thing now with this life coach stuff. And
is it wrestling related or non-wrestling?
No. It's all about life coaching and living your life the way you dreamed of.
Well, we would.
I don't know how he went from wrestling to that.
I don't know. Are you gonna start turning in, Elio? Are you gonna start trying to live your life? Anyway.
I'm already lived a life. I'm standing and profound as the wrestling POV champion.
Oh my lord, you're gonna rub that in so many times. I'm only gonna say this once under my breath, but I wish you were dead, Elio. Anyways, moving on, folks. Let's take a look at New Japan this week. And first of all, I want to address New Japan's latest foray into America. They had a series of shows which were, I'm going to say, not very good. They were a bit disastrous. And the biggest thing people might have wondered about who aren't in the know of wrestling is, if you noticed, there were no actual Japanese wrestlers on this New Japan series. It has to all.
Are you speaking about the Fantastic one?
No. I'm talking about the matches. They had a match in Tennessee, matches in Los Angeles, and matches in. There was one other place that's on the tip of my tongue. If you look at all these results and all the things that came in, there are no actual Japanese New Japan wrestlers on any of these tours, like Japanese-born ones. I mean, there are guys who've competed in New Japan that are Americans and other countries on there. I guess this all actually stems back, and New Japan was very critical about this, is the shutdown of the U.S. government held up all the work visas for the New Japan wrestlers that were supposed to be on that tour. Apparently, a lot of guys, they had booked in their minds a whole bunch of big-name stars, including Tanahashi and Okada, were supposed to make appearances at all three of these events. Unfortunately, with the U.S. government being shut down to that orange carrot-headed guy, what's his name? Donald Bump, Trump, Lump, whatever. Apparently, because of his shutdown of the government, they could not get these work visas through. And these Japanese wrestlers were not allowed into the country. And as a result, all three events, which had been planned for a while, went out. They had to use wrestlers from ROH. They had to use wrestlers that were New Japan wrestlers who were already American citizens. And they used a lot of young guys from their American dojo. So definitely not what fans wanted to see. And definitely a bit of a step back with their so-called American invasion. It was sort of like you want to throw an invasion and you threw water balloons at the enemy. It's softball all the way.
Oh, boy.
Sad state of affairs. I hope New Japan can bounce back. I hope the fans are more willing to give them a chance again. Not really their fault. They really did try. But in the end, they gave lackluster cards with definitely not the stars that people had bought their tickets thinking they were going to see. Now, moving on into New Japan, we've had a whole bunch of stuff. Finally, the Fantastico stuff is finished up. And it's been the road to New Beginning. A New Beginning is coming up. And to explain that, it's sort of weird, is New Japan likes to put on a bunch of house shows before they go into their main show. And the road to shows are always the sort of the host shows leading up to whatever the event's called. Now, this week we're going to look at a couple matches from the road to New Beginning that happened in Sapporo, day 1 and day 2. Okay?
But here's what confuses me is, now that I saw on... I saw the roads to Sapporo. Now, I get those ones. But then what's the one that we were watching? Because it just said NGPW New Beginning. Yeah. So what was that one, though? Okay, so the matches before the Sapporo ones were from different places, but they were the roads to New Beginning. Right, I get that one. Okay, now, what happened is the Sapporo is the two big house shows before the main show. So basically, they do day 1 and day 2. Yeah, so basically the actual title is The Road to New Beginning... Sapporo day 1, then Sapporo day 2, then they'll go on to the new road to New Beginning. Okay. Now the whole workup of the road to New Beginning, of course, and we'll touch on that first before we touch on the matches we saw. Is the big build-up here is Tanahashi putting his belt up against Jay White. That is the main event for New Beginning. A lot of people are speculating this is Jay White's turn. This looks like he might come out of there as the champion. What are your thoughts on this, Elio? I know you're not the biggest Jay White fan. No, I'm not the biggest Jay White fan. I think it's too early for Tanahashi to lose it. He just won it last month, right? At Wrestle Kingdom. I don't want to see no transition champion. Okay. I unfortunately think he is going to be a transition champion. I think he's sort of a great wrestler held together by tape. You know, he's been beat up, he's hurt. He still has not addressed his arm issue, which has been plaguing him for at least the last year and a half. Jay White, as much as I may not like his style, well, you know what? The thing is, he does what he's supposed to do. He's a heel that you're supposed to hate. And I hate him.
and it works.
So I guess he's doing his job.
He's doing his job, because when I sit back and look at it, I actually don't hate Jay White, the person. He's not OVE kind of hate. He is actually doing what he does. He makes us hate him. I think right now, I actually think he's going to win the belt at New Beginning. I think that this sets up a whole bunch of interesting guys to chase after him. Obviously Okada, obviously Tanahashi with a rematch, but other guys like Naito. Maybe this is time for Ishii to get his match. I think it opens up a whole bunch of possibilities having a heel champion right now. And I just really, as much as Tanahashi's awesome, as much as he's been so much for this company, I think he's going to be a transition champion, and I think he knows it.
Yeah.
Now let's take a look at day 1 and day 2 of Sapporo. Now the key matches here that we were going to talk about is, of course, at day 2 of Sapporo, there was going to be Evil and Sonata would be putting up their tag team belts against the team of Minoru Suzuki and Zack Sabre Jr. So on day 1, Sonata took on Suzuki, and Evil took on Zack Sabre Jr. Now, let's talk about about the first match of Sonata versus Suzuki. Now, I really like this match.
Oh my god, this match was wow! Especially when that one point where Sonata put Suzuki in the Paradise Lock.
Oh my lord! He tried how many times in that match to get it, and finally got it on the 4th time.
But you should see Suzuki, he was kneeled down in the middle of the ring, all totally wrapped up, couldn't get out. And then Sonata just
kicks him in the head, poses over him. You know what's funny about that too is the announcers were like, does he realize that after you've put him in the lock, you're going to have to deal with him feeling humiliated? And that pretty much happened, because Suzuki came out of there and kicked ass quite a bit.
No. There's no rules in Japan, is there?
There is, but they're a little bit, what's the word? At times they can be a little bit stretched, like ROH.
Because Suzuki went completely insane. He picked up the guardrail, he picked up chairs, stuffed it onto Sonata.
But he got back in before the 20 count. Let's just say in Japan, the referees really don't do much outside of the ring. If you're outside of the ring, it's pretty hard to get disqualified. Unless you actually hit the ref. Other than that, what they will do is they'll eventually give you the 20 count, and that can stop the match.
Well, Suzuki did put his hands on the referee, just never
a few times, but he never really followed through. Yeah, just intimidated. And for me, the funny part was when he grabbed the ref. They were outside, and then the ref started yelling at him, and then he started patting him and saying, "Oh no, okay." And then when he picked up this thing, handed it to the ref kind of fell over, and as he was falling, he picked something else and ran into the crowd and started beating the guy. So the ref was tied up with the...
I just love NJPW. It's so fun, entertaining to watch.
It can be. Not only do you have great wrestling in the ring, but you have all this crazy, wouldn't you want to kind of be in there, standing there watching Suzuki kick somebody 3 feet in front of you?
Yes.
It's just great. Now, this match, there was parts of this
I'd
match...
be helping him.
Now, did you...
So he wouldn't turn on and kick my ass.
Well, you wouldn't help him because he'll hit you anyway, so just stay away from him. Suzuki attacks everybody. I liked how they talked a lot about the story, about how years before in that same place that Suzuki had been defeated by Muta, the great Muta, who had trained Sonata. Okay. And he had beat him with what was it? The press, the somersault press off the rope, right? And so if you notice, Sonata tried many times to end the match with that. Never happened.
I saw him with that springboard off the ropes, yes.
Yeah. Now, it ended up in the end of this match that we saw Suzuki win. But what a great battle. I thought Sonata, this is one of the better matches I've seen in Sonata. He had a lot of emotion in there, which he tends not to have. I really enjoyed this match.
Yep. This was a great match. I really liked it.
Now, the next match surprised me a bit, too. Zack Sabre Jr. versus Evil. It surprised me in the fact that Evil tried not to take much of Sabre's nonsense. Every time Sabre would throw those things that kind of piss you off, Evil would flatten him out, lay him out.
Oh, and of course, Sabre had to go after the fingers, his favorite thing to do, right?
Yeah, but what's the nice part of this, and seemed like an almost fitting thing, was Evil winning with a bizarre roll-up combo. like because Sabre was putting these things on left and right,
Yeah,
all these weird pinning combos, and then out of nowhere, Evil rolls them up and gets the win.
He also did that one bridge or whatever where he bridged backwards.
Yes, it's the octopus, I believe they call it. Sorry, the stingray.
That,
The stingray.
The stingray. That's it. The stingray. Yeah.
So it was nice to see Zack Sabre Jr. eating his own medicine for a change.
Yep.
So
good job, Evil.
Now we moved on to day 2. I mean, of course, there's lots of wrestling. These cards are 6 hours long, are 4 hours long. But as we moved on to day 2, the key matches that we were going to look at now was the tag team champions Evil and Sonata facing Suzuki and Sabre. This turned out to be a really interesting match. It wasn't as exciting, I think, as the day 1 matches. It did have a great ending because in the end, Sonata did in fact pin Suzuki after the flip off the top rope as a nod to his mentor Muda, takes him down. Of course, Suzuki ate 2 magic killers before getting laid out. But tough match. Tag team champions walk out of this. I think a lot of people expected Suzuki and Sabre Jr. to be the new champions. So I actually too thought this was the way they were going. But Evil and Sonata come out on top. And then the main event, which I think nobody wanted to see, no one gave a crap about. Naito, who is extremely popular.
Right.
Yeah, against Tai Chi. Tai Chi was probably one of the most boring, useless wrestlers I've seen in a long time in New Japan. I got to say, Elio, I was very surprised at his match here. He stepped up, and he gave actually a really good performance. He actually ate 2 Destinos before he finally got pinned. He actually showed maybe that he isn't just some fool who comes out in an elaborate costume singing into a fake microphone. He made himself look like a legitimate contender tonight. Now, Naito holding his belt, and I guess next week we'll probably be close enough to New Beginning. I think it might have happened by then. We'll find out if Jay White is the champion or not. Elio, Jay White, do you want him as champion or no?
No, but we're going to get him anyways.
Yeah, this sounds like a face-off down the future, I think.
When is the New Beginning again?
I'm not. I cannot. I think it's the coming weekend. So it should be happening before me and you are back next week.
Okay.
So we'll get our chance to talk about that. Now, you know what? I think we've talked. We've been in Japan a little bit. Why don't we head over to the UK and let's talk a bit about UK NXT. I keep wanting to call it UXT or whatever, but
sounds good.
Sounds good to me.
Let me just get this.
Elio, the always prepared gentleman, will now dig through his notes.
Yes, I'm digging through my notes to find this, and here we go. So NXT UK again. So this is basically their home base, Blackpool, the Empress Ballroom. Okay,
I'm not exactly sure. We've only been watching the show now for 3 weeks.
No, but I recognize it because that's where they had a takeover. It's the same place.
Okay.
So in the first match, we had Dave Mastiff defeating Jay Melrose. Now this guy's a pretty big guy, but I'm a fan of this Dave Mastiff guy.
Yeah, Dave Mastiff's a pretty big boy.
The guy can move around.
You know what? At first, when I saw Jay Melrose come out, I thought, "Oh, this is a total squash match." But it wasn't. This Melrose guy gave a pretty good performance. He just got overwhelmed in the end.
And he really got into Mastiff's face, yelling at him to come on, and Mastiff just hit him, and he just stood there and took it and kept yelling to come on.
Dave Mastiff, I'm pretty sure, is one of those guys who just wishes he was 3 inches taller. Because seriously, he's a big guy, but he's not WWE main event big guy. He's
the man then hit a couple of sentons, then a German suplex in the corner, and he finished Melrose off with the cannonball.
Now, do you know who he reminds me of? He reminds me of the guy in WWE, that Dosevich guy from Heavy Machinery.
Otis Dosevich.
Yeah, big, but not big enough. He's... I like him, but I just don't think he's tall enough to make an imposing threat.
I just thought of a dream match. Ace Romero versus Dave Mastiff.
That would be interesting. You know what? I'm getting a little bit sold on Ace Romero. We'll talk about him when we get into MLW, but
yes, we will. So in the next match, we have the debut of Walter. And he just made a little work of this guy Jack Stars. Now Jack Stars, I don't know, it's just me, but he looked a little like Jeff Jarrett with the hair.
He looked like jobber material number 3.
Yeah.
I don't
First of all, I've never heard of Jack Stars.
Me neither, and I don't think we'll hear about him again because he left. Walter, though, okay, I have been touting Walter to you before, and I know finally he's come onto our radars. I think he is a massively imposing man, and I think he has lots of. I think he has lots of skills. Now, today, folks, we're going to have a face-off because I am 100% believing that Walter is going to make a big impact in the WWE someday. Elio does not think so, so we're not really going to talk too much about Walter right now. We're going to save our juice for the thing. But let's just say, concerning this match, Walter put in a very impressive showing, including a drop kick, which I did not expect, which looked incredibly powerful.
We'll just say German suplex, drop kick, and a powerbomb to end the match.
That powerbomb had a lot of mustard on it. My goodness.
That's all we really need to say about this match.
Yeah, let's move on. We don't want to...
Next, we have Ginny. Again, not a fan of Ginny and her whole look. Just really boring.
Yeah, I'm not digging anything. And you know what I really... Zack Sabre Jr. does the annoying finger things, okay? The only thing...
She did it too.
Yeah, but she did something even worse. This whole scratching...
I know.
Nails crap?
Her nail down like
on the face, on the side. This is ridiculousness. Do we really need this?
And so of course she defeated this Casey Owens with the makeover, which is just another move taken from the Bella Twins, the face buster, face plant, whatever.
You know what? Casey Owens. I like the look of this girl. I'd like to see more of her. She looks like she has a little something behind her. I can't buy Jenny. She looks like she should be working. No. She looks like when you walk in the Bay and those people try and hand you perfume. She looks like that should be her job. She should be handing you perfume samples.
Well, apparently she's a fashionista.
And if I hear the word fashionista one more time out of that stupid guy's mouth, I swear to God, fashionista, really? He's never used that word ever, but he pulls it out for her. Okay.
Now then we had the great team with the stupid name, Mustache Mountain, defeating Fabian Eichner and Marcel Barthel.
Oh, you're right. You said to me last week, isn't it fun to say Marcel Barthel? Yes, it is. It's not fun saying? Is trying to explain to people that wrestling is cool and then explaining Mustache Mountain. I like these guys, but man, that name has got... I cannot stand Mustache Mountain.
You know what? If you want to play a really cool drinking game, every time there's an NXT show or they intend to have an NXT UK takeover pay-per-view, take a drink every time someone says Marcel Barthel.
Oh my Lord, we're going to be drunk in a while, but... Getting on to this match, one thing I've kind of noticing lately, and I don't know if you've noticed this, maybe I'm just seeing this, but it seems like Tyler Bates really carries the team a lot. It doesn't seem like Trent Seven does an actual lot in this team. I mean, he does some setup things, but actual offense and things, it seems like it's all up to Tyler Bates quite a bit.
It's Tyler Bates, yeah.
So I'm wondering if someday down the road we're going to see a part where Tyler Bates has had enough of Trent Seven and tries to knock his mustache off. I think that would be something interesting to see.
The mustache will fall off the mountain.
Ooh! Throwing it out there, Fabian Eichner and Marcel Barthel, they are really a strong team. I actually enjoy them. I'm really surprised they lost. I thought they needed this win a lot more than Mustache Mountain did. I think they're a great up-and-coming heel team and I really think Mustache Mountain is going to fade out. They had a great run for their setup, but like I said, you can't have a team where one guy does all the work and the other guy tags in occasionally. I don't think Trent Seven can run with the big boys anymore. That's my view.
Now, now we know how they always have these NXT call-ups. You think we'll ever get an NXT UK call-up?
Well,
to the main roster?
To the main roster. Looking at the guys I would have said Walter. But we do know that I reported at least, 2 or 3 episodes ago that the WWE had approached Walter and he refused to come to North America, saying he did not want to join the WWE because he didn't want to leave Europe.
Right.
But guys in there now, I mean, I like Fabian Eichner and his partner, Marcel Barthel. I had to throw that out there. I think they'd be a great team to call up eventually, but... it's hard to tell because the guys in the NXT UK are a little bit smaller than the WWE guys. So
Yeah,
are they just going to look like 205 dudes in there? I don't know.
that's true. Yeah.
Dave Mastiff, if he was taller, by all means, but I don't think he's tall enough to make the cut. Right now, I can't see anybody except maybe Tony Storm. Oh, and what about Rhea Ripley? Rhea Ripley is definitely a girl I think should be called up to the main event. She's amazing.
There is one segment that took place, and that was the new NXT UK Tag Team Champion Zach Gibson and James Drake coming out to the ring to cut a promo.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Let's give it time on them. I'm not sure how sold I am on them.
And I see what you were saying. I was looking at James Drake. He does look like a young Shawn Michaels.
Yeah,
with that hair and the whole look.
Yeah. He looks like Shawn Michaels' uglier little brother. So
yeah.
Zach Gibson.
If you look closer, he sometimes even does some of the facial expressions that Michaels used to do.
Yeah. No. And who did they say that they were going to come out? Who challenged them? I forgot now. Run that through my mind. At the end of that segment, who came out and made some buzz?
I don't recall. I know the assistant to the general manager, Johnny Saint, came out, and Sid Scala came out and he made a match. I just can't remember who they said. Well,
you know what? I do know that I'm going to give time with Zach Gibson and his partner here. I'm not sure. You know,
but it will be soon.
It will be soon.
They use that word an awful lot.
Yeah. It's kind of hard with weird taping to tell you when you're going to bring episodes out. I'm sure they tape it like NXT, the regular one where they tape multiple episodes at one time. Mm-hmm. All in all, I'm going to have to say it was a fun show. I'm tired of Ginny. I want to see other wrestlers on there. I want to see different girl wrestlers. I enjoyed. I enjoyed the main event very much, and I enjoyed Walter's debut, and I didn't even mind the first match with a Mastiff. He's an interesting guy. I like it. So all in all, I'd say this week's UK was definitely a thumbs up for me.
You know what I love about these shows is they're an easy watch.
Yeah.
You can get through them like that. You can get through maybe 2-3 shows in a day.
And I gotta say, fans, if you tried it once and you're like, oh, I don't get it, I gotta admit, it took me 2 or 3 episodes to get into the groove of it. The first 2 episodes, I was kind of like, which is probably the reason why eventually I had Elio be the main lead on this, because I was like, Same reason why I made him the lead on Impact.
I was the same when I first saw NXT UK. I'm like,
But you know what?
I don't know.
I got to the point where I was like, I almost wish I hadn't given to him because it's some good wrestling. It's some good stuff. So, well, you know what? Why don't we move on and let's take a look at ROH.
Okay.
Ring of Honor for this week.
Ring of Honor.
All right. You know what? The Ring of Honor show, it had 3 matches. And I guess the only thing I want to say, first of all, about these shows is I wish they had more character development, okay? I mean, the first match, Hot Sauce Tracy Williams beats Dave Finlay. Now, if I hadn't watched New Japan, and I have watched lots of New Japan, so I know who Dave Finlay is.
Yes.
If you hadn't watched New Japan, did you even know who Dave Finlay really was? Or anything about him? Or what he's like? Or anything?
Well, I have heard him being interviewed on another podcast, so I know. I wouldn't have known him if I hadn't watched New Japan. I wouldn't.
If you were just a fan turning into ROH TV every week, would you have a clue who this guy is?
I would just recognize the name Finlay because of
his dad.
That's it. Yeah.
And Tracy Williams. Okay, Hot Sauce Tracy Williams. He's been on there now. I've seen him 3 or 4 episodes. I've never heard him speak, and I have no clue why they call him Hot Sauce. I mean. There's no character development there whatsoever. So sometimes it can almost feel like it's guy versus guy. And for me, the fact I knew who Dave Finlay was and the fact that I heard of Williams' name before made it interesting. But if I had been an ROH fan just turning in the first time, not sure if I would have been all that interested in this match because it didn't really give me much to be interested about.
No, we also had Juice Robinson on commentary. I swear, I thought I was hearing things he called David Finlay Debbie Chan or something. Debbie Chan. No, that's his nickname on New Japan Wrestling. Debbie Chan is a little nickname that they team together a bit. They call themselves Fin Juice when they team up in New Japan. And because Juice is the older one and the more thing, he has these crazy interviews.
Debbie Chan is sort of like endearment. It's like his little buddy in a way. I guess it's the Japanese equivalent of him calling him his little friend.
That's the team's name, Thin Juice.
Thin Juice. Trust me, when it comes to Juice Robinson, everything's ridiculous. You know, I actually enjoy watching him, but he can be ridiculous as all hell.
Yeah.
On the commentary, he was pretty ridiculous this week.
That's why I brought it up. I'm like, okay, now this guy shouldn't do commentary. Just
I thought it was
stick to
funny.
wrestling.
I thought it was funny as heck. He was so dumb, and I like how people called him on it. The one Cole Cabana said something like when he said something about he yelled out something or he said something about Tracy Williams, and Cole Cabana's like, he can't hear you, you know. He's in the ring. It's just like, okay, that's funny as hell. That is funny. Let's move on. Okay, here we go. This one's, and it's sad to know that this guy was injured later on, is Bandito defeats Mark Haskins. Now, Mark Haskins is a really fine up-and-coming British wrestler. Well, I shouldn't say up-and-coming because in the British scene he's been around 10-plus years.
Is this where he got injured?
Yeah, no, he did not actually get... He was been carrying a partial tear, so he probably just aggravated it slightly.
Oh, okay.
Bandito, I've heard tons of this guy in Mexico. Have not... This is the first time I got a chance to see him. I was impressed. He's got a very strange look. It's like out of a comic book, like old comic westerns, you know. And the cowboy hat and the mask and all together in one piece. And he had a wrestling style which was fun. I enjoyed it. What did you think of Bandito?
Yeah, Bandito's cool. I like those. He's got a cool wrestling style. And I like that finisher he did. He just like held him down for the 3 count. That's it.
Yeah, it was that setup with the jumping on the rope, bouncing. It was all kinds of crazy stuff. But for me, the funny part was when he kind of put his finger out like he was going to giving a finger pistol to Haskins, and Haskins grabbed him by the hand and flung him. I was like, you need to see more of that. If some guy's going to be a douche and put a thing in your face, well, grab his fingers and do something.
Right?
Anyways,
Zack Sabre, try putting a finger in my face.
No, you know Zack is waiting for anyone to put a finger in his face so he can break him. You know, that guy's terrible. Okay, moving on. Silas Young defeating... Did anyone think this kid had a chance? Eli Ibsen.
Eli, no.
Eli
Ibsen, no.
It was like a squash for the main event. I didn't think that this was a great matchup at all. Isam really had no chance. This was not a competitive match. I love Silas Young. I love his roughness. I love his style. Mm-hmm. I did not think for 1 minute he was in danger of losing his number 1 contention. Now,
I believe at the end...
the end was interesting.
He got on the mic, and then Shane Taylor came out, because Jeff Cobb came out, and then Shane Taylor came out.
Now, I kind of liked how Jeff Cobb kept turning around as each one of them was going to sneak on him. And it was like, he caught them each time and then attacked both of them. Took a lot of balls, went after both of them. Got laid out. Interesting to note, Silas Young is the one going to be the number 1 contender. But who took down Jeff Cobb?
Shane Taylor.
Right, and who's holding the gold at the end? Shane Taylor. So... that's an interesting thing.
I'm not a fan of Shane Taylor. I don't like Shane Taylor.
We've talked about Shane Taylor. One of the most... We have, yeah. He was like if Mr. Potato Head was very large and tried to put on wrestling trunks, I'm sure his body would look like Shane Taylor. Well, if you baked him a little long in the oven, I suppose. But anyways, the fact of the matter is Shane Taylor, not digging what he is. He's just an overly fat guy. I'm just not really big. I like Ace Romero, but even he, after a while, is kind of like, you know. All said and done, this episode of ROH, I'd give it 3/4 in the middle. I mean, I'm sad in the fact that I still have no idea why they call him hot sauce. I mean, does he eat lots of it? Does he pour it in his eyes? Does he beat children with hot sauce bottles? I don't know. They've never told us.
Me, it's a thumbs in the middle show this week.
Yeah. Not one of your best ROH, but you know what? I think we're going to go to a break. We're going to clean our palates a little bit out. We have to clean our palate because we're going to talk about Impact, which usually leaves a bad taste in my mouth to begin with. So we're going to talk about Impact. We're going to have a little bit longer on MLW, and then we're all going to see the unholy smackdown that I'm going to lay on the gentleman, Elio Canales. So folks, stay tuned after this. Any last words, Elio?
No last words. I'll be here. I'll be waiting.
Oh, my
the
Lord.
SmackDown. I'll be waiting to see the SmackDown.
All right.
Hello, this is Miguel Cole from the Wrestling POV podcast. Wrestling POV and Wrestling POV Global is affiliated with the Collar and Elbow brand. Go to collarandelbowbrand.com and save yourself 10% by using promo code WPOV. Collar and Elbow has t-shirts, hoodies, sunglasses, and more. And the best part, you're helping out your local indie wrestlers. And you're helping out the best wrestling podcast of all, Wrestling POV and Wrestling POV Global. You don't want to miss out. So save yourself 10% by using promo code WPOV. Oh my goodness!
This is Flip Gordon, and you are listening to Wrestling POV Podcast.
And we're back, folks. That was a great break. I know Elio is probably in the back lifting weights, trying to prime himself up. I, however, am a legend in my own mind, so I don't need to do any workouts. I'm just here to crush. Just kidding. Okay. Gentlemen, throw us some Impact. I'm not sure how much I can hold my lunch in this week, but go ahead.
All right, here we go with Impact Wrestling for the week. And once again, we are in Mexico City. And Impact this week opened with a tag team match. The Lucha Brothers, a six-man tag match with the Lucha Brothers and Taurus defeating LAX and Dega.
All right, Dega, who I just said is coming back to the MLW. That's the dude there. First of all, Taurus. That is the most ridiculous getup I've seen anyone wrestle in a while. How could he even stand straight? I mean, it seemed like that thing looked heavy as all hell.
Yeah, not liking the look of Taurus.
Now, here's one thing I'm going to throw out there, and you may disagree or you may agree, and fans, tell me if you disagree or do. When it comes to the Lucha Brothers, definitely Pentagon Jr. is the coolest looking of the two, and he has a cool character, but it seems to me that Phoenix is the much better wrestler and does a much more effective work in there. And I think he's kind of in the shadow of Pentagon a lot. And I'm glad they're brothers, I guess, but there's part of me that wonders what would Phoenix have been like if he had not had to be alongside his brother. This match, interesting stuff. LAX continuing their kind of feud here. Conan trying to say he doesn't want to be, involved in stuff, right?
Yeah.
But
the Lucha Brothers defeated LAX with the Fear Factor Power Driver.
They didn't defeat. I gotta say, this has been an interesting feud. I just want to see it wrestle a few times. All this build-up has been too much. Let LAX and Lucha Brothers, they've had one match so far. I think why not have a series of matches to finally, before this finishes off? Both good teams.
Remember one of the polls we threw out was whether or not a wrestler can be both a face and a heel in two separate companies.
Yes, Conan.
This is Lucha Brothers are the perfect example because they're faces in Impact, yet they're the same in MLW. But in MLW, Conan is the manager. In Impact, he manages LAX.
Yeah, I was just going to say that.
That's confusing.
To me, that's why, people didn't agree with my thing, and I think if they thought this through, this is what I meant. Conan is down in MLW using the Lucha Brothers to fight the good fight, but then he's against them with LAX in the other company at the same time. I find that slightly confusing.
Yet they're both they're good in both companies.
Yeah.
So that's double confusing.
The whole okay, but you know what? What did you think of this match first of all?
Again, it's like a lucha style match. I want to see more than just build up week after week after week with this feud or whatever you want to call it between LAX and Lucha Brothers.
Who do you see coming out on the end of this? At the end of this feud, who do you think is going to stand tall? LAX or Lucha Brothers?
I'm going with the Lucha Brothers.
Yeah? I think the Lucha Brothers are the definite better pick. I think, however, if LAX doesn't come out on top, I think it buries them. I think they disappear. They're not worth anything anymore. Lucha Brothers can afford to lose this feud. They've got their highlights everywhere else. I think LAX can afford to lose this feud. And that's sad. Let's go on with the next match. And I know I have to bring it up because Jordan Grace is in it, so go ahead. Talk about the women's match.
I was just about to say that. Jordan Grace is the only person saving this match. Otherwise... So, we see all this, the double vertical suplex, the Jordan Grace suplex both Su Yung and Ali at the same time. That was pretty impressive.
That was.
Then we see a flurry of running strikes to Su Yung in the corner by Kiera. Then at one point, the power in the arena goes off.
Oh God, do we got to go into this?
And it comes back on, and we're not even going to finish the rest because we'll let the fans and listeners use their imagination of who showed up in the end.
Yeah, it's not hard to guess.
Yeah.
Let's just say this.
We'll just say that it was Jordan Grace and Kiera Hogan defeating Su Yung and Ali.
Now, okay, Jordan Grace has got to have been the only saving part of this match. I mean, she's an incredible wrestler with incredible work ethic. I don't get Kiera Hogan. She wrestles like she's either really incredibly stupid or she doesn't really know anything about wrestling. This match showed that she has got to be one of the dumbest people on the planet. I don't understand any of the stuff
I don't get her. I don't get her.
I don't get her at all. Su Yung, man, that is one of the most ugliest, but ugly women I've seen in a while. The way maybe she's probably beautiful in real life.
You know what? I've seen her I've seen her without the makeup. She used to be in Shimmer and Shine.
And you're right. I did see her. She's incredibly, she's an attractive woman. They really make her to look like a witch in this stuff.
Is this a gimmick? Did she have this in Shine and Shimmer?
No, she wasn't this junk back then.
And
Dark
so
Alley.
This must be an Impact creation.
Yeah.
Then.
And Dark Alley, okay, which is pretty stupid to say Dark Alley, but Alley, you know who she reminds me of so much of?
Who's that?
That chick from the Iconics. Cassie, whatever. The one chick from the Iconics. She looks like her with face paint. I can't think of her name. Cassie McDonald? No. I knew her wrestling out here when she was first started, but she's one of the Iconics in NXT. And she looks exactly like Peyton Royce. There we go. She changed her name to Peyton Royce. Her name used to be Cassie McDonald. But Peyton Royce, don't they kind of look a lot alike? Dark Alley. And I was looking at that. I was like, wow, they're split in. All I got out of this match is they're making the women. I really hope that Jordan Grace can be one of the factors that brings women wrestling to a better level in TNA because the Su Yung stuff is just crap.
This Knockouts division is terrible.
Yeah.
There's nothing good about this Knockouts division. Jordan Grace is the only good thing. Gail Kim, Tessa Blanchard, that's about it.
Other than that, it's just a lot of this dreck.
Even Taya Valkyrie is terrible. I am
not a fan of the Taya Valkyrie, sorry. Go on, buddy.
So next we had the team of... I can't believe I was telling you about this off air when I was singing the notes. I can't believe I almost put this. Eddie Edwards, I almost put Eddie Edwards and Elio Drake defeating the Rascals.
Elio Drake? You have a fantasy of teaming up with Eddie Edwards? Oh, okay, I get it. That's called a Freudian slip, my friend.
So we had the team of Eddie Edwards and Eli Drake defeating the Rascals. Now, this whole time, Eli Drake's been telling Eddie Edwards to, he wants the old Eddie Edwards back, get rid of the candlestick. Mm-hmm. Then, behind the referee's back, it's Eli Drake who grabs the candlestick and drills one of the Rascals in the head for the win. Now, I got to tell you this, Elio. The more I see the Rascals in Impact, the more I don't like them. However, I have looked up some other stuff about these guys in Pro Wrestling Guerrilla, and that when presented as straight-up wrestlers, these guys are great. Well, I was looking up that one, Dez. That's Xavier, yeah. Yeah. And actually a pretty good wrestler. Once again, you see TNA just crapping the pot here because that is just a terrible... This whole stuff they do with the Rascals is just terrible. That whole Sunday show gimmick is just so lame. And just so lame. It's not cool. Next, we had the Psycho Clown... Psycho Clown versus Falaba. Defeating Falaba. Now, Falaba... Wow. With a roll-up. Yeah, with a roll-up. I'm surprised you could even get that guy off his feet. I mean, Falaba is like... And I always wondered where he was from. He's a Filipino. That is the biggest Filipino I've ever seen. Falaba is... I get that the fans love him, but he is so grossly fat to look at when he's out there. Like, he's, ugh. Yeah. He's like, when he goes to the bathroom, he can't see it. He has to just guess where he's aiming, right? Because, that's a lot of girth on that boy. Psycho Clown. Now, it's easy to dismiss the clowns because we see this and go, okay, there's a guy with a ridiculous mask with a tongue hanging out and all this. However,
tradition in AAA wrestling. The clowns, there's a whole bunch of them.
Yep.
They are actually pretty deadly wrestlers.
Yeah, this
And
is
Psycho
another guy.
Clown?
This is another guy I looked up that that was in AAA.
Yeah,
So
Psycho
I
Clown.
already know about Psycho Clown. Yeah.
Yeah, he is legit. Falaba, not so much.
No,
So,
I don't like Falaba.
No, he's a sad. He's one of the other reasons Impact kind of has a whiff on it. Let's go to the main event.
Oh my god, here we go again. Killer Cross and Moose defeated.
Oh, who would have thought we'd see these guys?
Right?
Yeah, for
It's not
8
like
millionth
we've seen
time?
this. We've never seen this match before, have we?
No, jeez.
So Killer Cross and Moose defeated the team of Johnny Impact and Brian Cage. Moose hitting the spear to Impact for the win.
Now here we had one of those cases where the tag team partner gets so pissed off because of like miscommunication where he just lets his partner get killed. These kind of matches are useless. I mean, what's the gain? What does Brian Cage get out of this? Like, if they had won? What does he get out of it? Nothing.
Before this match, or the interaction backstage between Cage and Impact was so stupid.
Yeah.
Like Cage was yelling at him, Impact's like, "Oh, are we on this again?"
Yeah, because they've shown this how many times? Yeah. This is like month 800. I am sick of this crap. I'm sick of Johnny Nitro. I'm sick of Brian Cage, who looks like
Impact's like, "Don't screw me over." And Cage is like, "No, that's your department." I'm like, oh.
Do you know how hard it is to make Moose and Killer Cross seem interesting? Just put on the other two idiots. Those two make those two seem interesting. So sick of Impact. So sick of Brian Cage. I've always been sick of Moose. And Killer Cross.
Impact wants to turn things around, but they're not doing. Doesn't seem like they're doing anything.
No, they're not. You know, I would look at this week's show and I would give it a thumbs down.
Yeah.
Nothing interesting happened on it. The wrestling was at best some lucha libre flippity dippity crap that we saw in the beginning.
Again, we have to keep in mind that they were in Mexico, but still, that's no excuse.
I just don't get it. Like, how can they turn things around when you're using the wrestlers? There's so many. Like, they've got a lot of other wrestlers on their cards. Why? Like Eddie Edwards. Why? And Eli Drake. Why are they in this stupid undercard match when idiots like? I'm so sick of Impact and Cage. Get rid of those guys. We should be seeing Eli Drake. We should be seeing Eddie Edwards fighting for the belt, not these guys.
Do you think Eli Drake could have another face run? Because he was a face when he first showed up. He was part of Drew Galloway's faction.
Yeah, but he made no, and please, this isn't a pun, but he really made no impact in wrestling whatsoever as a good guy. He is definitely better suited as a heel, and I think Eddie Edwards is just better suited as a normal face, not this confused junk that they've been giving him.
Stop taking lessons from Tommy Dreamer.
Oh, lessons from Tommy Dreamer. Oh, how to eat pork rinds and drink beer? I mean, come on. Anyways, yeah, you know what? Let's just move on. Impact, once again, leaving a distaste in my mouth. Yep. I give it 3 toilet bowls out of 3 for badness. Not good toilet bowls. All right, moving on. MLW. Now, MLW, we're gonna look at 2 things. First, we're gonna look at the Fusion TV show because it was taped a little bit before what we're going to talk about. And then we're going to talk about some of the top matches on the Supercard event that they had. Okay. First of all, we're going to look at Fusion. Our first episode had Cotto Brazil versus. Now it's funny because I couldn't remember this guy's name, and I think I'm just going to call him ethnic jobber number 6 from Turkey.
I mean, when you were asking me his name before we went on, it slipped my mind, and I remembered at last minute. I remember oh yeah, that's his name. Yeah,
it was I'm not sure how sold I am on Cotto Brazil. They're trying to push him as an exciting middleweight. I don't think he's fast enough. Mm-hmm. I don't think he's high-flying enough. And he's definitely not ground and pound enough to really be a star. I mean, he's got a flashy name. But I'm not sold yet. I'm not going to diss him. I'm not going to say he's horrible. But I am not sold on Cotto Brazil yet.
Basically, the story here was whatever his name is, going after Brazil's eye patch.
Eye patch. Now, that figures into later because we're going to talk about how apparently Cotto Brazil was injured by, what was that dude's name? Ramirez?
Ricky Martinez.
Ricky Martinez.
Yeah.
And they faced each other finally at Super Fight. But, the ethnic jobber number 6 goes after the eye patch. Half-assed back and forth. Nothing all that exciting. Boom, your winner, Cotto Brazil. Going into the next match, this one, I got to laugh. There's so many funny things, but good things about this match, okay? Ace Romero, okay? Our 400-pound new guy out there. First of all, I need to address his shorts. AC Baby. AC Baby. Okay. You know you've got to be popular and fun enough if everyone calls you AC Baby. Okay. It's enough to be call yourself Ace. But AC Baby? I'll give him props. Give him props. You can pull that off. Okay, then, what's this guy's name? Barrington Hughes?
Barrington Hughes.
My God, he makes Shane Taylor look skinny. He is grossly overweight. Grossly overweight.
Now, weeks ago, when for the early episodes, you had mentioned that these two were facing each other at a live event.
Yeah.
And I heard the weights that you said, and I heard the names. Yep. And I was like, wow, they better reinforce the ring. But I had never seen them. I only saw the names on paper.
On paper, yeah.
Screen. But seeing these two in the ring.
Now, at the beginning of their match, Colonel Rob Parker comes out.
Yo.
And I'm sorry, but he said the funniest crap in the world. And when he looked at Barrington Hughes and said, boy, you could have won some money because they had a pie eating contest down the street and you would have won. I'm sorry, but Colonel Rob Parker, you were my hero that moment. As it is, as he's kind of berating them, in comes his guys, the two dirty blondes, who, man, they're so 70s generic to themselves. I'm not sure if those guys have a career.
These guys.
Like, do they have names? Who cares? Yeah, nobody really cares.
I don't care.
They're like some bad time machine dropped us off some jobbers from the 70s who call themselves the Dirty Blondes. Anyways, they get laid out by the big boys, which was pretty evident was going to happen. Found it funny. Found Colonel Rob. I love that they're using Rob Fuller. You know what? Colonel Rob Parker, but Rob Fuller is just one of the icons in wrestling. Just the fact that they're using him,
he's
great
so cool.
on him. Love the guy.
I like Rob Fuller. He's cool.
Yeah. People who want to know more about him, he does have his own podcast. If you look it up, Rob Fuller's podcast, he talks about the history of professional wrestling because his family was very key and the first people who started wrestling from almost the circus thing to the kind of rip-off events to actual wrestling over the years.
Is that what it's called?
His podcast?
Yeah.
I cannot remember it. You know what, fans? I will look it up and tell you for the next time. I can't think
I was trying to look it up myself.
Yeah, if you just Google I'm sure if you Google Robert Fuller, you'll get his podcast. Okay, or is it Ron Fuller? Which one is it? I think it's Ron Fuller now. Is this one? Okay, because Rob Fuller's dead. It's the brothers. They're brothers. They're quite a bit older, but. The Fuller family had a big, humongous name in professional wrestling over the years. They were involved in a lot of stuff from the 30s all the way up to WCW days in the 90s. So, interesting podcast, talking all through the history. I'd love to see him there. Like to see AC Baby and, I don't know what I'm going to call this guy, Chocolate Ripple or something. They
call him Chocolate.
What did they call him? They called him something.
Something Caramel.
Yes, the Caramel Mountain. I can't remember what it was.
Something like that. I don't know.
Barrington Hughes, you are a dude who needs to lose weight. At least, Ace Romero looks like he's a big boy, but he also looks like he could hit you. Barrington, you look like you'll have a heart attack.
He did deliver that drop kick out in the corner to Hughes. When I saw him deliver that drop kick, man, I don't know. Yeah, there are no words. Wow.
Okay. Then let's move on. Your favorite guy of all, Sami Callihan.
I'm sure you're quite mistaken about that.
Yeah, getting a match with LA Park. Falls Count Anywhere match. This all stems from Sami failing to be the hitman that he's supposed to be. So the organization sends LA Park to teach him a lesson.
Yep.
Interesting match. People were on the beginning, seemed like they wanted to cheer Callahan, but he was having none of it.
Now, you know what I noticed about this match?
Huh.
The referee seemed to be doing some heelish tactics there.
I did too, yeah.
When he went down with that ankle injury or whatever, and he slow counted Park, but he was fast counting Sami Callihan. But yeah.
I don't know what to think of that too. Maybe that'll lead on to something. In the end, LA Park getting the win.
Yep.
Does it change your feelings of Sami Callihan after this match?
No.
Thanks. That's all I need. Me neither. We probably should just move on. Well, MLW also had their super fight card. We're just going to talk about, I was going to talk about 3 of the matches, but I think one of the matches nobody really cares about. So let's just talk about 2 of the matches.
Okay.
We're going to talk about the Hart Foundation winning the belts against the Lucha Brothers. Excellent match. Davey Boy Smith Jr. looked like a monster in there. How many times would he take a bit of a beating, kind of shrug it off, throw guys off, and go out and tag out? Teddy Hart looking psychotic as ever. They get the win. Apparently, the Lucha Brothers stormed off after this, right out of the thing.
So they didn't have Brian Pillman in there at all. They had him at ringside.
Yeah, they had him at ringside, and he didn't really interfere. But
not a fan of Brian Pillman. Sorry.
Yeah, I gotta say he's the weak part of the foundation.
He's just not doing it for me.
Then the main event, which I thought was an incredibly short match. Low Key getting his first. Now I looked it up. Yes, this is his first loss ever in an MLW match to Filthy Tom Lawler. Lawler winning the belt in what I could not believe how quick this match went. I mean, it was under 10 minutes.
R.I.P. Low Key streak. 15-year undefeated streak.
Where does that put Low Key? I'm not sure, but I do know he is a man of honor, and anyways. Filthy Tom Lawler, he has really been on a high popularity lately. I've been enjoying what I see from the guy, so I'm curious to see where this goes from here. And I'm also curious what's going to happen with Loki. I mean, does he go on to something else? Where does he go from here? Hard to tell.
I'm not. You think? I don't know if he's done with Sami Callihan yet, though. I mean, you did take him out with that hammer.
So you think maybe we're going to look at? You mean Lawler? You're talking Lawler. I'm talking Low Key. Lawler, that opens him up to all kinds of obviously challenges. But where does Low Key go from here? I'm not sure.
Yeah, good question.
Well, you know what? I think the 2 main matches really kind of made what we saw in that little special pretty darn good. I'll give it a thumbs up. The fact we didn't have Brian Pillman Jr. thrown down our face, that was good.
No, they just had him in a backstage vignette with Teddy Hart doing something stupid with the cats and drinking this energy drink.
Oh my goodness! I don't even like to talk when he gets the cats out there. I've seen it firsthand live, and it's some strange crap that makes no sense.
Apparently, they keep the demons away.
Folks, that was this week's edition of MLW. Now, I want to talk about our poll that we had. Usually I do that in rumblings. But this week, this poll meant a little something. Now, last week, we had announced that the poll we were going to do involved Kushida. However, with the debut of Walter, that kind of got us both buzzing between us. And we changed the poll. And we made the poll, do you fans think Walter is the next big WWE thing, or is he just a flash in the pan that no one will remember? Now, Elio obviously finds him a bit of a flash in the pan, and we'll discuss that. I obviously think that he's the next best thing, but we wanted to throw it out to you, the folks. And the results are in from our poll. 62% of the people said he will be the next big thing. Well, 38% said flash in the pan. That's a very close numbers. 38 and 62, that's not that far apart, which tells me that there's no decisive idea in the fans' mind where Walter's going to go. I'll read the first comment here.
Okay.
Jason K. Singh says, he doesn't want to move to the States, so let's see how far he goes. He should be a major player, but I can see him exclusive to NXT UK.
Okay.
You want to read some more of those, Elio?
And let's see. Marcus Kessler said, can't comment till I see a solid next match. Then we have some person here named Thomas James Little.
Huh. What did he say?
He responded saying, this dude has done stuff in the indies. Marcus kept on, I know, but WWE style is different from the indies. Some wrestlers can't transition.
Okay.
And Mr. Little replied, true, I'm wondering if his indie cred will transfer to NXT. Bear in mind, this is NXT UK, not North American NXT or WWE. It definitely has a European flavor.
Wow, that guy sure has some legendary thoughts. Huh. Well, you know what? The fans are divided. But me and Elio, we're not divided. And we put a bet out there, which we emailed personally to Walter himself. And in 4 years' time, if Walter does not become a big star, I will be on the receiving end of a chop of his. And if he does become a big star, Elio will be on the receiving thing. But you know what? Before we get there, why don't we do an old tradition called the face-off? Elio, I'm going to give you this forum for 2 minutes to tell me why you think Walter is a flash in the pan. I think I might have scared him off.
Okay, I am ready.
He's
I am back.
Okay. You know what? I the gentleman likes to compose himself rather well. And so I'm going to give him this minute or two here to get himself ready because, let's face it, he's going into a heavyweight battle. He has a big slap in the chest coming. He knows it. So I may remind viewers that I have not lost a face-off in the history of the show.
Okay, so why Walter will fail?
Okay.
While he's a big guy and an intimidating guy, I think he'll fail because he looks like a wrestler more from the old school, and what I mean by that is Vince used to like the big guys, but that's not really the WWE style of 2019. In 2019, it's a different mentality. That big guy mentality is out. And at one point they were in, but WWE changed their outlook in the early 2000s. So we're seeing more cruiserweight style with the high flying craziness that we've seen from the Hardys and Edge and Christian. But we're seeing more, and I think we're seeing more like high flying moves, and Walter's just gonna get lost in the shuffle. His style's been successful on the independent scene, but I think in WWE it just won't work. Of course he'd win matches, being bigger than most, but there have been major upsets in the past.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Well, I'm just going to respond with, you're wrong. Moving on. No. Okay. Why Walter will be a success? Well, as my esteemed colleague has pointed out, Walter looks and has a characteristic of old school wrestler to him. However, it gives him a whole fresh, brand new air about him. He brings in something that isn't out there right now. You may look at someone big like Braun Strowman, and Braun Strowman has the elements of old school, but he has all this kind of new school riding behind him. He looks he's almost cartoonish. He's flipping buses and doing ridiculous things like this. Walter walks out there. He's 6'4", 290 pounds. He walks out there and looks like he'd slap the taste out of your mouth and your mother if you guys were sitting together saying stuff. I think Walter has with him a presence, and what's different from the wrestlers of old, not only does he have that look, but he has skill. I have seen him do drop kicks. I have seen him do suplexes. I've seen him do complex wrestling moves that makes the guys of the 70s look lost. This is the guy. I think finally he is something unique, something special, and unless WWE managed to screw it up with some weird writing and put Walter in, I don't know, a tag team with Psycho Clown and Hornswoggle, I think he has a real straight-out chance of being something big. I think there's going to be an opportunity where he's going to say, you know what, NXT Europe, it is too small for me. Let's go to the States. Let's show them that the Vienna machine can destroy anybody in the world, including the big boys in the WWE. Walter, I can hardly wait till the day you slap Elio Canella's chest open for doubting you.
Okay.
Folks, that was this week's face-off. This is one of the ones where we're not going to know the winner or loser for a couple of years. We'll look back at this, Elio, as one of us has an indented chest. Hopefully it's you and not me. And we'll laugh about it, hopefully, if one of us can still laugh. Folks, you know what? Let's run last week's, the one we talked about. Kushida, coming over from New Japan, one of their biggest mid-heavyweight champions, a great wrestler, but will he be lost in NXT? Or will he stand out and succeed within the WWE somewhere? That's next week's poll. Well, you know what, Elio? Before we get going, throw out all that social media. You know what, folks? There's another show. Obviously, you know that, but just in case you picked us up and didn't know, every Saturday, Wrestling POV, featuring our good friends Rick Serrano III. He's that third wheel on that show. Mimi and Tony, and that little felt fella. Do I even have to say his name? Okay, Miguel Cole. They have a great show talking an hour, hour and a half, maybe even 2 hours of smack, talking all about SmackDown, WWE, everything WWE related except NXT UK, which we took over. They talk some great stuff. They break down those shows. They have a great look at it. It's called POV. You know, Tony used to be a professional wrestler. Rick used to be a professional fan. I guess that's not hard. But together, they have really actually great insight looking at the product from different ways. Then you get us, the two crazy guys talking all that indie junk that people thought would be forgotten. Elio, throw out some social media stuff out there. Let people know how they can get a hold of us and the main show.
Okay, so Wrestling News Source, you can follow them on Facebook. Just go to Wrestling POV Podcast. You can follow them on Facebook. Go to Wrestling POV Podcast. Follow that page. Instagram, you can follow my Wrestling POV on Instagram, and then on Twitter.
You have the Twitter handle? I had the Twitter handle. I mentioned it last week. I am the worst.
No, I didn't have that one open.
I am the worst at social media, but it's out there. You know what? Go on to Twitter. I bet you if you just search for Wrestling Podcast POV, you will find it, or Wrestling POV Wrestling.
Yep, Wrestling POV.
I bet you actually probably is Wrestling POV. You know what? We're still the dirty little brothers. We don't have
and it's operated. It's run by Miguel Cole.
Oh boy, that ought to be great.
Yes, it's at Wrestling POV on Twitter.
All right, and you know what? You can drop any messages you want about Global. We're still the ugly twin redheads who didn't get their own pages yet. But you know what, folks? We just want to say this, okay? We feel bad for the boys at POV. They didn't have an episode this week. The flu bug got them. I just want you to know, though, that we here at Global, battling the minus 30-degree weathers, never miss an episode. And we just want to say maybe there are people out there who are delicate and sick. What?
Wait a minute.
No. There are people delicate and sick, and maybe they got a little bit of the flu bug. Maybe they got a little bit sick, and they couldn't really put on an episode. We just want you to know that we're there for you guys. And we're there for those. What?
What are you doing when you're in trouble with the president?
What are you talking about?
POV?
What are you talking about?
You get fired. You can't say that.
Oh, yeah. Okay, you know what? Scrap everything I just said. What I'd like to say is, on behalf of the legend T. James Logan and the gentleman Elliot Canella, we wish all of you and the family of WPOV the best of the weekend. We hope forward to seeing you next week. Get better, brothers.
Feel better soon, guys.
Think they'll buy it?